Alright guys, today I'm going to turn this rupee, see if I can get it to focus, this rupee into a size 7.5 ring for my sister-in-law. Alright, let's get started. Got my trusty hole punch from Legacy Brand Tools. I'm going to put the coin in, spin it. I'll start almost centering the coin, then I drop the plug in, the punch that I want, the size, and I push down on it while I spin it. That'll help center it up even better. Set it center. Got this nice steel plate that I got. Let's get it punched through. Move some of this stuff out of the way. Alright, let's get it release. Pull it out. There we go. Nice little punch. Now, what I'm going to do is take it like this. I got my little spacer deal that I use to help push things out. Now I'm going to take it to this tool over here. A little smaller plug. Nice, good. Look. All right, set that baby down. Put the punch. Push this aside. Now we got the little punch out that we used earlier. Set that bad boy back in, just like this. Put that in there. Let's put something underneath it. Save this for later. Alright, now we got our little coin ready. Got a rupee. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kneel it. Too hot. Best thing if you can do it, or you can turn off your light. And a little bit of the bright red. Right there. That's almost perfect. There, that's perfect. Quench it. Let that cool for a second. Pop that little bad boy back out. Get a nice little dark color. You can see that's where my little pincher was grabbing. But that's what we want. Alright, next up is now that we got our coin annealed and we got it punched, we'll take this deburr and deburr that sharp edge. Both sides. Make sure you get in the middle because you can see, let's see if I can get it to focus. There's that little bit of shine and there's a little bit of unshining in the middle. I want to get it a nice even burr even in the middle. Make sure all the metals are nice, good, cleaned up, nice and smooth. All the tools I'm using here come from Legacy brand tools. If y'all guys are interested in them, hit them up. They're pretty great. They're great people. They're great quality tools. Everything you see here is the Legacy brand except for the Jason Works Swedish die kit over there. All right, next up, we go ahead and put this in our 17-degree die. Legacy brand 1.4 to 1.3 17-degree die. You can see that the coin fits really good here in the 1.3 side. Now when I'm going to fold this coin, I want the flower detail here to be facing down. So I'm going to put it facing down just like that. Now before I do any folding, I'm going to get a little bit of coconut oil. You can buy it at Walmart. I found this to work really good, and that was a tip from another gentleman that's a pretty great guy on making coin rings too. A lot of us help each other out. Let's see. Get a nice good little lubrication going on in there. All right. Now that back side of the coin, the George King, is going to be facing down. Set that up just like that. Then I'm going to turn around. I'm going to get me one of these little Doran balls. Let's see. I think this one would probably be better. Yeah, that's going to be a lot better. And I'm going to press it down. I'm not going to go crazy with it the first time. Let's adjust this word. A little bit more. Yeah, right about there should do it. I'm going to get my first initial fold. I'm going to stop right there. You see, there's a first initial fold. It's starting to curve a little, but that's fine. I'm just going to readjust it. Probably see if I try one of my other dies real quick. This is the 1.2. Try it out. Just a little bit more on the 1.3. Don't want to go too much. It'll concave that bastard. Make sure it's level too before you go too far. You'll cockeye it and you ruin the coin. Stop right there on that one. I think that should be good enough to use the 1.2. Yep, just perfect. Now before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and kneel the coin one more time. Like I said, one thing too I didn't say is when you're going to kneel the coin, I'm going to turn the light off real quick. We'll look at the color. You can get it to yourself where you can do this in the dark. It works out good for me when I'm doing certain detail coins like this. You see I have a cool green flame. And I'm working that dull red. That's what I want, dull red. Don't go it too hot, because too hot's going to cause problems later. You want that dull red look. Then I'm going to find a light switch. Go ahead and quench it. Being silver, you don't want to overheat it because it'll start messing up the details. So that dull red look right there is what I found to work perfect. Give it a good wipe down before I go anywhere else. You want to make sure you don't get too much water on your tools. They'll start rusting. Alright. Put this coin back in. Just perfect. I'm going to go for another fold. Alright, that's about as far as I'm going to fold it with the ball, just getting it to curve a little. You can see it got a nice little cone look. Now, I'm going to do another deal. I'm going to take this folding cone here, and I'm going to fold it better with this one now. But before I do that, we're going to take some Teflon and wrap this cone right here. Where did I put my Teflon at? There it is. And what you're going to want to do is wrap it at least about maybe 10, 15, 20 times, depending on what you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and cut off from here, and we'll pick it right. Now we got the cone wrapped here. Now we'll drop it right in there. Make sure it's nice and level. Make sure the coin's nice and level. Go ahead and get this bad boy back down. You want to wrap it to protect the detail on the inside. Now we're going to give it that first fold. All right. And there we go. Right there. We got a nice good cone right there. See, that's maxed out right there. Ain't going to go any more. All the way around. Now, next step is going to be Swedish die wrap. Before we Swedish die wrap it, I'm going to put these guys up real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and pre-treat this coin, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Now, what I've done is this is the Jason Works Swedish die kit. It's the 1.8, 1.1. Being I was using my 17-degree die, that I started off with a 1.3, got the initial fold with the Durin ball, and then I switched to this 1.2, and then used the cone and finished off the fold. That right there now puts me at a size where this 1.1 Swedish die to 1.8 is going to work. Now my target size I'm shooting for is a 7.5, and that's what I'm shooting for this size of ring. Now, first thing I do is after I do all that folding, I heat treat the coin like I said I was going to do, and then I wrap the coin about 25 to 30 times. That's the way I do it. Some people do 20, some people do 25. I'm not real stingy. I want, you know, as much as possible. This coin's very small and the detail's very fine. So once I do that, get the trusty coconut oil. Get a good lubrication going on here because you want it to try to slide as best you can. Don't be stingy. This stuff ain't cheap. This stuff's cheap. Make sure you got plenty. You want to make sure you anneal that coin too. You don't want to damage that detail of folding a hard coin. Over time, folding these coins, they do harden up over time. So we're going to just push that in by hand as far as it can go. This is the third, the Swedish die kit that I got has two dies, 1.4 down to the, I think it's 1.4, let's see, I have it right here. Oh, where the hell's the lettering? There it is. 1.4 to 1.10. And it comes with about 5 dies, 5 little plungers. And this is the third biggest plunger right here. That's just perfect for what I want because I don't have to go so far down. So you can see it's just a hair bigger right there. Matter of fact, let me see real quick. It's the second biggest plunger, and as you can see, it doesn't even, just fits right there on the top. It won't even push this one down. So we're gonna use that one like we said, first one. And before I picked the way I picked the plungers, I actually took the coin and I lined it up with this first before I put Teflon on it. Now, I'm gonna take the plunger, the coin, and we're gonna push that plunger through. But see, I don't gotta, when you get these deals here, these 1-ton arbor presses, you get in positions where you can't really get leverage. Real quick, I'm gonna show you. You grind off these 2 first teeth on the rod going down. What you want to do, I'm going to take the camera here. You're going to grind off these 2 teeth right here. Drop the camera a second ago. Just I'll delete some of that information out. So you'll see I cut away for a second. But you're going to grind these 2 teeth off. And what that'll allow is when you get the deal, it'll allow this, let's see, that's it. You'll see how it hits a couple times. Get this. And now I got a better deal to push down on. So let me set the camera back. Adjust the screen a little, get a better focus. All right, now, before I punch it, make sure this is centered as far as it can go by being pushed by hand. Make sure that's nice and centered. I don't want that plunger to ruin my coin. Make sure you center it up just right. Now, we're going to push it through. Like I said, I was going for a size 7. So we'll see where we're at here in a second. I just pushed it all the way down as far as it can go. There you go, the coin stopped. All right, and pulling that detail off. Now let's see. Right now, this centerpiece is at roughly a 7 right now here. I want to shrink this down some more. So I'm going to heat it up again and I'm going to plunger it one more time. one plunger smaller. And I'll get right back with you. Back real quick. All right, I already shoved this back in. This has already been rewrapped. Of course, the plunger has already pushed it all the way down with this, the first plunger. Now we're gonna switch to the second plunger, second smallest, which is this one. Gotta make sure we align it up nice and neat on that plunger, that coin. Make sure you wanna get on that reed all the way across. Line it up right, and then we'll push it down. Because if not, you're gonna damage your reed. I already heat tempered the coin. Now we're gonna do it now. One thing too is I'm gonna make sure I spread that apart. The more you push this down, the more likely you're gonna have a chance to hit that deal. I felt it hit over something funny. Yeah, it cocked the ring. That's what I gotta watch out for, is cocking it can damage that ring. You don't wanna damage it. Tear this piece off real quick. I'll protect that detail as much as possible. You don't want it to go cockeyed inside this die. Got that first fold going. So one problem about the brass plugs is they want to slide easier. And when you got the brass plugs, they're just a hair. I wish they would have a size in between, a little bit in between these two. See how much of a difference that is? I wish they had one just a hair different, because I have a hard time with them on that part. Because you can see this is already smaller than this, and then I'm using a thin coin, a very small coin. But I want to protect that detail the best I can, and I have to use this plunger because it's the only one that goes down lower. But I have a hard time lining it up because the way that plunger is to that coin. So, got that coin in, got the plunger in. I want to stop right there. I'll pull this coin out, make sure to check the details real quick. Looks like the Teflon's starting to squeeze right around that detail area, and I want to keep that from happening. So I'm gonna pull this off and rewrap it real quick, probably reheat it real quick, and also ream this right here a little. If I can feel this is actually starting to cut a little from where that brass plug was hitting. I might ream it after the fact, but it is damaging that reed on these smaller, thinner coins. And that's what I gotta be careful of, because if not, it'll slip in like it's starting to right there, just a little. Can't see it. There we go. See that little cut right there starting to get? That's what you got to be careful. You got to make sure that thing's dead center when you do it. All right. Let me heat treat and I'll get right back to you. I already got the coin rewrapped. I got it pushed in there down. Now I want to go ahead and push it the rest of the way through, or the rest of the way down with this second plunger. The two plungers, because like I said, I'm going to size 7, so I don't have to go all the way through. I don't think, if I remember right, I shouldn't have to push this plunger all the way through. It's starting to stop right about there. Set that boy right there. And my biggest deal is anneal, 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 anneal. The more you anneal, the safer you are with these silver coins. You can, you can't, I don't think you can over anneal. That the more professional people probably say you can. I take my time folding it and make sure I anneal it, make sure that metal's as soft as I can get it. Now we're gonna check this out real quick. All right, we are still about the same size right here. It's about still at a 7. And we're still shrinking this down. Like I said, I'm trying to get this to a 7.5. Here's 7.5 right here. I'm actually a little bit bigger for some reason, stretched out. Shows it to be about an 8.5. No, 7.5 already. My bad. I was at a 7, now I'm at a 7.5. This stretched out just a little more for some reason. It's the first time that's actually happened to me, but that's not a big deal. We're gonna push it some more. and get this top here. I want to get it where I can put the reed on there, and that reed sits at 7. Because I'm going to go ahead and do about a half a size smaller. Some people do a whole size smaller or 2 sizes smaller. I don't like doing that because I like having a nice tire look. I think that's what it's called, the tire look. So I honestly could stop right here and then just fold this side in more, and that should do me, because I'm gonna stretch it out anyway, because I'm shooting for a size 7.5. Right there, 7.5. This side needs to go just a hair more, but I don't think I'm gonna push it through this anymore, because right there you can see it's right there the size of the plunger. There you go. See the plunger? Just a hair. The plunger's just a hair bigger. And then you get the smaller plunger. That smaller plunger is actually smaller than the coin. It just barely catches that reed. Now I might just turn the coin around and push it back through with this plunger. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. We'll go ahead and do that for y'all can see that trick. I've made these rings before, but I'm just taking my time on this one. You know, you work with me while I work with that, because I haven't made one of this particular coin in maybe about 4 or 5 months. And let me reheat it real quick. I want to be safe. Let me go ahead and I'll heat it on camera this time without the light being turned off. Some silver coins I've noticed always turn whitish, but I have coconut oil in there, so it won't turn white. It actually turns different color. Like a reddish brown right there. See, there's that dull red color, but it's almost like a reddish brown. Let me rewrap this and I'll get right back. Now what I'm gonna do is, like I said, here's that coin. This is actually the reed side. This is the reed side, and this is the other side. This is the punch side. I'm gonna push the reed side down this time because I want to make the reed side shrink to the same size as the other one. I'm gonna use the second smallest plunger here, but before I do that, I'm gonna use the third biggest. I'm gonna start it pushing it with that one. I'm gonna start it the rest of the way with this one. Now I got that one out. See, it's almost pushed all the way down there, nice and even. That's why I'm using those. Actually, that's the one I really need to finish pushing it. You gotta make sure that coin goes down even. Use your other finger, kind of push up on it a little. All right. Now, put those 2 plungers back in. And if need be, I'll use that smaller plunger later. Now let's push it all the way down. It's all the way down, same spot it was last time, but with the reed. There we go. Look at that. There we go. Now you can see that as the coin gets punched sometimes, you're probably noticing this little shiny spot. That's where the metal's gonna make contact. This time it made it right there on the reed. It hasn't damaged any of the details here. And we're gonna check the sizing. Oh, look at that. We're at 6 right there. On the other side, we can actually go a little more bigger than a 6. It's probably right there at a 7. So now we're gonna take the ring and I'm gonna read the inside out, take that reed out, and I guarantee that's gonna probably put it up to about a 7, maybe 7.25. And then I'm gonna take it on the ring stretcher and kind of fix it and like straighten it up a little, make the coin a lot nicer looking. All right. Now, one thing earlier, remember I mentioned that punched, kind of damaged it a little. There's that little bit of damage right there. You can see at the barely tip of my fingers. So whenever I get a damage like that, while I'm reading, I'll go ahead and read the ring the way I want, and I'll always be a little bit lighter on that spot than the rest. So I work the other sides more, and I slowly work it till that spot works with the rest of the reed. then I'll start smoothing that piece out right there. You can also rotate your coin a couple times to help get a good even read. What I'm doing too is the reed has a hard lip right here, and that lip is in the inside. I'm trying to get rid of that lip too, because you want that gone. You can also read this side just a little if need be. This side, I don't think I'm gonna have to read this. Ream, I keep saying read, but ream the other side. Not the reading. Now that we got it reeded, let's check that side. We are at a 7 1/4 right there on the reed side. The reaming, since the reaming's got done now, other side's at 7 1/2, which is good for me because I'm actually gonna stretch this side out because you can see it's a little concaved a little. I'm gonna stick it on the ring stretcher and bring this side out wider, because this, you always want to make sure when you sizing these rings, you want to size them where the reed side is actually the ring size. This side's always going to differ from this side because this is the thickest part of the coin. This got stretched out so it's thinner, so you want your ring size to be this side. All right. Now, let's get to the ring stretcher. The ring stretcher, got me some blue paper towels, shop towels. I'm gonna wrap that metal a little because I don't want that metal to damage my detail. I got the hole punch side down. Push it down as far as I can on the paper towel. Push it as far tight as I can. I'm gonna give it a good pump. One good time should do me. Alright. And then let's check the size. Right now we're at a size 8 1/4, and that size is still 7 3/4. But that's all right. We're still not done. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it a little bit bigger. All right. You see now it's starting to straighten up. It's starting to straighten up a little right here. Now that it's starting to straighten up, we're gonna switch to the new method. Now, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be taking, let me get the camera readjusted down to here. All right. Same ring stretcher, bottom plate. We're not gonna use that. We are gonna turn around and we're gonna take a 17-degree die. We're gonna find the one that fits in nice and neat. That's a little too big. Let's see. I think that's gonna be our money maker. One of these right here. Yep. That's the 1.0 to 0.09. Now that one's gonna probably be our best bet right there. Now get our trusty coconut oil. I'm going to figure out what side needs to be shrunk down real quick, because I'm going to read it still some more. This is at an 8. This one was going to be at a 8 1/2. Now this side here, I'm not worried about this too much because this side still needs to shrink a little more. I went it a little bit bigger, but I went a little bigger than it, but it's fine. I'm actually going to shrink it because, like I said, this is your ring size on this side, the reed. This one's not. So we're gonna stick it in there and kind of balance the size out a little. So, all right, get in here, give it a little bit of a push. Don't want to push it too hard. Starting to get a nice look to it. See what size we're at, because I'm still gonna, I'll ream it up some more here in a minute. There's always gonna be a little bit of an edge. Right there, we're at 7 1/4, which is still good for me, because when you squeeze that side down, it puts that rim back in here a little. So I'm gonna read this real quick and I'm gonna get you right back. I went ahead and reamed it. You can see we're starting to get a nice good shape, starting to get a nice curve. But this side here has like a little deal where it curves and kind of lips up a little. I'm gonna get rid of that real quick by sticking it back in the die. Just that side with a little bit of oil, coconut oil. Just give it a little push. Not much, just some little. And what that does is it gives it more of a rounded shape. Let's put it right here. See, now we have more of a curve. And we're gonna still stretch this up just a little more. We're trying to get that lip up, because it goes over and then it lips back up. I want to get rid of that. So when I fold this in, I'm gonna stick it back on the ring stretcher for a second. Get that on there real quick. Now I use paper towels. Oh, damn it. Get you back position. There we go. I mean, I use blue shop towels. You can use plastic. I've seen a lot of people use plastic. I just like, for some reason, I just prefer a paper towel. And the whole reason for doing this is not only keep metal on metal contacts, to protect the inside detail. Now, me personally, I don't care for the inside detail, but being this ring's going to my sister-in-law. She lives in New York. She's no one up there she can buy a ring like this. So I'm making something unique that she hasn't seen up down here before. Take it back with her. All right. Now we got it stretched down a little better, a little more of a better shape. I can still squeeze this side in and then give a little touch up on that. See what size we are. We're right there at a 8 1/4. That side, and that side's 8, which is perfect. But before I go any further, I need to heat treat this, because I've been folding so much, it needs to be treated before I make it snap the ring in half. We are heat treated. So let's knock this down to its final size, which is a 7 1/2. Nice little squeeze. Not too much. And we're right there, 7 1/2. I mean, you can hardly see my deal. I've used this thing so much, the details are really scratched, and the only way I can get it to focus, I really get it to focus, but it's really hard. And you can see, actually, that's the other side. Let's see, right there, sticking a little. Look, actually, I can push it a little more, 7 3/4, which I think that'll be fine. The reason sometimes it's okay for me to leave it that way is when you also sometimes some people's fingers swell when they put these on. People's fingers swell during seasonings, different type of seasons. So sometimes it's good to leave a little play, but I'm not gonna leave too much. Now, next thing is to clean this up a little. I'm gonna give this a little cleaning up right here, sanding, a little sanding here, polishing, and I'm gonna take some 409 silk wool and I'm gonna clean it up even more. And I'll be right back. Now, what I got is I got sandpaper. You can buy it at Harbor Freight. This is 220. And then what I do is I go from 220 to 1000. There's a couple sizes in between, but I think I'm out. You can go from 500. Yeah, I'm out of those. So normally I go from 220 and work my way up to about 1000 grit, but I'm out of the other one. So I'm just gonna stick with a 220. There's some people that only use 220. Me, I want a little more finer because I want to make sure I get all the little tool marks out. We're gonna clean this up. Tool marks I'm talking about, as you'll see, if I can focus on those from where I ream it. Right in the inside, you'll get some tool marks right in here. You want to ream those out. Sand them out. Some people too note when they punch this hole after they ream it, they sand it as they work. I tend to notice that after I ream it, I don't have to sand it. So it's been pretty good to me. I guess I'm just lucky. Some people prefer it. Just trying to get a good sanding going. Now this coin here is called a rupee. So it has a little design right here on that reed, which I'm not worried about that because in a second I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with that. It's not as important. Now some of the detail on the inside too has been saved. I gotta clean it up even more, but you'll find the detail on the inside was saved on the lettering. The rest of it kind of stretched with the ring. Little tool. That's not gonna fit on that one. So let me get my other one out. Bear with me. All right. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on there just like that. We got some 40 wool, 440 steel wool. Get a nice little polish in. Slowly working that polish in there, but this coin was pretty hot and it has that oil on there from the coconut oil. Oh, tighten that up a little more. Spin it the opposite direction. One thing you can do too while you're doing this is nice and clean this edge here. Take that 220 sandpaper. Nice good cleaning in there too. That's a good way to do it. It's getting nice, good, clean. It's gonna be that little rib right there, but that's fine. I'll clean it up some more. I'm gonna cut away and I'm gonna come right back. That way you can see the finished product after polishing, sanding it with 220 and 440 steel. Right, we are back. I spent a good amount of time hand sanding this, but let's see if I can get the detail to pop it out. Let's see, come on, focus on my fingers. There we go, almost there. There we go. You see, there's the detail from the original coin. All nice and neat. Now the coin was old. It's 70 something years old, 1941. I did the math earlier. I think it was 78 or 71. I don't know. Somewhere in the 70s. So this coin's 70 something years old. So that detail that I preserved is pretty good. You still see the flower really well here. The leaves, all those. If you're holding it in person, you can definitely see the big difference. Little flowers right there. And you got the main flower right there. Let's see if I can get it focused on that flower. Come on. Let's see if we can zoom in maybe. Barely get it to focus on it. Now, of course, I'm using an iPhone to record this, so it doesn't really give it justice on the quality of the picture. But maybe a picture will look better. I'll slap one of those in here in a few seconds. And that way it can show you. Right. Now that I got that picture in there, now there's one extra step I'm going to be doing with this coin. I want to be able to kind of highlight the details a little on the background. That way I can make the details that pop out. I want to put in some coloring on the back to make the details pop out. That's the better way to say it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna powder coat it, and I'm gonna give it a little sanding to kind of bring the detail through the powder coat. Now what the deal I'm gonna do is, this is a little heat silicone with a little wire ran through it of copper. It makes contact here, makes contact here. And then I'm gonna be clipping my negative from my powder coat gun here. And I got my positive right here in this brush, so I can dip into my powder, put it here and tap this, and it'll actually suck right over to the ring as I powder coat. But let me do some prepping real quick, because I need to make sure it doesn't go on the inside. And because once I start baking this, it's gonna get a little hard to pull apart. So let me get to that real quick, and I'll show you the rest here in a second. All right, I got it prepped. Got my tape on the spot that I don't want powder coat to go into, and it's mainly because this size here, this cone is kind of curved a real lot. So you got to put some tape on the side to keep the powder coat going inside. Now, next step is to get the gun, get the controls. Before I do anything, I also kind of play with these wires a little, kind of stretch them out. Make sure you don't hit that pedal while you're doing this. It'll shock the living crap out of you. Just kind of stretch the wires. Sometimes they stick together if you haven't used them in a while. Kind of spread them out a little. There we go. Now, I'm going to dip it in there real quick without hitting the button. Now, watch this. Get a little closer. You can see it's starting to suck all over that ring. I'm going to do this side. Flip it around. Make sure I get a nice even coat all the way around. A little more on that side. Let me get this closer to me. There. I'll let y'all see it. See, it's a nice good coat. Wants to focus on the deal in the back. Come on, focus on the deal in front of me. There we go. Nice good coat all the way around. That's what you're looking for. Oops. Pay attention too. You're gonna start dropping stuff, and you're gonna have some powder like I just did all over the floor. Now, next step is to get a little toaster oven. Clip that off right there. Let's clip this off here for safety reasons. Turn the powder coat off. Now, wipe my hand down here. I kind of spilt some of that powder coat that was on the brush, fell on the floor. Now, next thing I do, let me disassemble this camera for a second. Pick you up, bring you over here. Got a little toaster oven right here. Let's hold this camera for a second. Got some stuff. I'll take this down. Alright, now what we're going to do is turn this temperature, turn this thing to stay on, make sure it's on, my bad, turn it to stay on, make sure this is on conventional bake, and then turn it up to about 350 is the temperature we're going to start at. Trying to hold the camera, keep from dropping this deal. 350 is right there. Now we're going to take this little bad boy, and we're going to hook it, but too high up can actually cause, I'm sorry. We're going to hook it inside here. Too high up can actually cause a problem because it'll be too much that heat. You want to float it about middle ways. So let me get that rigged up real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. And as you can see, I have it dead center of the heat on top and heat on bottom, which is going to be a lot better for me. Now we're going to close in here, and we're going to let it sit for a while until the powder starts melting and turning into a liquid state. Once it gets to that point, we'll pull it out and let it cool for a few minutes until I can take my sandpaper and sand the details to make them pop. Like, once again, 350 degrees, and right now I have no timer, but it's on conventional bake. All right, we'll be back when it starts flowing. We are back. Get this little light here. Boom. Now, as you can see, that powder has flowed pretty good. Now it's more of a liquid state. So we're gonna pull it out. Where did I put those needle nose? There they are. Pull it out without burning yourself, because I've done it. Come on. Unhook. There we go. See how it's a nice liquid state, some candy yellow. Now I want to pull it out and let it cool. I'm gonna leave the oven on so I don't have to preheat it later. And you want to let it cool down room temperature by itself. For a long time, let me turn this off. For a long time, what I used to do is I used to hang it on this fan here and let it cool with the air. Well, what I learned is when you're doing it that way, cooling it too quick, it basically makes that shell for the powder coat, makes it real brittle and it breaks off real easy. So if you let it just cool itself down to room temperature on its own, you'll be made in the shade. It'll be a harder and better powder coat. So I'm gonna let that sit. We'll be right back, and I'm gonna start sanding the details and make them come out. All right, I skipped this part just because it is a very long and time-consuming deal, but I got the powder coat. And basically what I did, and I'm still not done, is I powder coat the coat. You saw me pull it out. It's a liquid form. Well, what I did was I kind of took this little sanding brush and I slowly scratched the details out where they barely start exposing. Then from there, I kind of switched to like a little hand sanding deal. That's why I said it's so time consuming. And I basically get this and I kind of bring the details out a little more, work the little small edges because you don't want to sand too much. You'll get, like I said, this particular coin, very fine details. So too much sanding takes away some of that detail. But if I can get enough where it can expose it, I can actually turn around and heat it up and it'll flow into the spots I want and it'll make it stand out a lot better. Because if you sand too much, I'm gonna show a spot here in a second. Right there, that right there, I wasn't paying attention. And this little spot here, when I was using this to take off the thick outer coat, I actually hit that flower just a hair too hard. You can see it hit the flower and hit this spot right here, just a hair too hard, which ain't bad. I mean, it happens. I mean, this is handmade, hand sanded, but you can see the details starting to come out real good right in this area. And it's slowly working its way back here. And you just slowly go out and take your time. Don't have to be perfect right off the back. I mean, you want it perfect all the time, but just work it slowly. Get that little spot you want worked. Once it gets that point, it's very hard to see right there, but it's right where I want it. Get it where you can get some of those little silver to flow through. And then after you get it to this point, there's a bunch of little hairline cracks. Also, the color changes from different spot to different spot because some spots are a little thicker, like right here. I'm gonna get a little more sanding in here. And what it's gonna do is after you get to this point, you basically put it back on this, stick it back in the oven, let it liquefy again, and it'll start getting a glossy look. And then after it hits that glossy look, you let it go to the full cure, which this particular powder coat, it takes about 450 degrees and it fully cures. And but first you gotta get it to flow again to get rid of all your little scratches, and then you let it cure at 400 for about roughly 10 minutes. And once it cures, then you pull it out, let it rest, and then you pull it out, stick it on a little tool like this, stick it on this or stick it on your drill, whatever you got to help spin it real quick, and just give it a light brushing with 4-0 wool just to give it a little bit of a polish. And I'm actually going to show you that result next. I'm going to go ahead and get through the sanding on this and let it flow. You already know what it looks like when it flows. It's nice and shiny. Liquid looks smooth. It actually looks like a liquid on the ring. And I'm going to pull it out, and it should be about that state. I'll get back with you. All right, here's a little bit before and after. This is what the coin looked like when I punched a hole in it. And then, of course, I made it into the ring and powder coated it. I did a little extra work. I sanded the inside detail out, baked it a little bit more. You can see how the detail popped pretty good. I'm hoping my sister-in-law likes it. I appreciate y'all watching. Please subscribe. I should make another video in the future. If you need any tools like what I use, Legacy brand tools, hit them up. They're great people, good quality tools. Thank you.